Reclaiming Catholic Intimacy, formerly Charting Toward Intimacy, covers mature topics. Listener discretion is advised. And your husband asks, well, what can I do to help? It's so funny because any gentleman listening to this podcast are going to be like, what a nice guy. What? And all of the ladies are going to be like, oh my gosh, I want to kill him. Welcome to Reclaiming Catholic Intimacy, the podcast for Catholic women that helps you improve your sex life, strengthen your marriage, and embrace God's design for love. My name is Ellen Holloway, and joining me today is my semi-regular co-host, Kathleen Chovanes. Overwhelming questions.
I feel like every question in my life right now
every single question is overwhelming.
Sometimes you just hit that phase, or just like a season where it's like your brain fog is so thick that it's just like, don't ask me a single question because it doesn't matter how simple it is. I just can't process.
I cannot process it. I can't handle. So let's start by painting the picture a little bit of what we are talking about, what kind of questions we're talking about that are overwhelming. All right, you've had a really busy day and you and your husband have either kind of very explicitly scheduled sex for that evening or it's kind of lightly scheduled. You kind of know that it's going to come. And your husband asks, well, what can I do to help? It's so funny because any gentleman listening to this podcast are going to be like, what a nice guy. What? And all of the ladies are going to be like, oh my gosh, I want to kill him.
Yeah. We've all
and let's explain why. What happens with that question? That is an open-ended question. Yeah. If we have had a busy day, if we've got the brain fog, I almost said brain frog. Somebody else has brain fog.
Yeah, we all have it. We all do.
If we have the brain fog that Kathleen mentioned, or if we just have a lot on our plate, very high mental load, lots of things that need to get done, lots of places to be and things to clean up in the house. And especially, again, we're painting a very specific picture here, especially when it is obvious many, many things that need to be done. Like, let's say the kitchen is a mess and the house is a total disaster.
Gosh. My life.
I know.
Literally.
All the ladies are like starting to
life.
hyperventilate. Yeah. This is my everyday.
Well, and I think that's part of it, right? Is like when the things are very obvious in front of you.
When it's very obvious.
And which for most women it is, right? I mean, I know my husband is like totally comfortable living in the kids' mess of the day. It doesn't bother him in the same way it bothers me, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like, oh yeah, what can I do to help? It's like, you can open your eyes.
Yeah, right.
That's how it feels. It's like you can take a look around and figure it out. Like start
you can
anywhere.
Do anything.
Yeah. It's like, but it is. It's just like, and there's too much for you to even like have to say one thing. It's just like, what do you mean? Like you just can't fathom answering the question. Yeah.
That is the issue with this question, right? It's coming from a good place. Yeah. It's coming from, and this is the important thing that we have to remember, ladies, that this question, even though it makes us want to I just imagine the anger character from Inside Out.
Gosh, yes.
Just like when he flares up, like that question just makes me want to go like,
yeah, totally.
So even though internally our little anger guy in our head is going, the most important thing that we need to remember is that this question is coming from a good place. And now real fast, before we keep going, I do want to speak to the men who listen to this podcast because I know there's a lot of you. Please recognize, stop asking this question. It's not helpful. But ladies, we are going to be talking about how to respond to this question, how to make it not make us want to flare up like the little anger guy in Inside Out. But also, gentlemen, don't ask this question. No open-ended questions. Not helpful when we've got a lot of mental load going on.
Well, can we
ask closed-ended questions?
Yeah. So, let's give an example of a closed-ended question, right? Well, hey, would it be more helpful if I started with the dishes or started in the living room?
Exactly.
Right.
And the thing is, here's what's crazy about a closed-ended question. Even if you ask those questions and they were totally not helpful things to do, right? Even if your question, let's say that the house was a total mess and the kitchen needed to be clean and the living room had toys all over it, and you asked, would you like me to wash our bathroom towels or mow the lawn. And neither of those things needed to be done. The fact that it is a close-ended question allows the female brain, actually any brain, but it allows the brain to problem solve in a very different way. Because it's like, no, neither of those things need to be done. XYZ needs to be done.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you ask a close-ended question of like, do you want me to mow the lawn or do you want me to, I don't know, what would be like a not super helpful thing? Do you want me to paint the house or mow the lawn? Like which one of those things do you want me to do right now? And it's like, no, I need you to clean the kitchen.
Yeah.
That is an easier decision.
Yeah.
To make, like, it's so much easier for the brain, especially when the brain is in overwhelm. But when the question is, well, what do you want me to do? Like, the brain cannot handle that, because what it feels like is just another child. Those of us who are moms are really going to feel this. It feels like just another child that we have to entertain, take care of, make sure they're doing their chores. Yeah. And it's just like, I already have enough children.
Yeah.
I already have 2, 3, 5, 9.
Yeah.
I can't have one more.
Yeah.
Like, no,
Yeah.
you know. And so this is helpful, I think, on both ends, right? Those of you gentlemen listening, close-ended questions, okay? Just close them. Just close the loop. Make it easier to make the decision. And then wives, if you recognize that your husband is regularly asking you these open-ended questions that are totally stressing you out, approach him and say, hey, I need you to start asking me close-ended questions. And that's not going to stress me out as much. It's going to help me so much. And give him some examples of close-ended questions. And you could even, ladies, I'm not kidding. This is the best brain hack ever. You could give your husband the close-ended question that he could always ask. You could just always ask me, do you want me to start on the laundry or the kitchen? You could just always ask me that question.
That's so true.
Right? And like either one of those things need to be done.
Yeah.
Right? Or your brain, even though it's the same question, your brain's going to be able to figure it out faster. Like it's a total brain hack. So you could just offer your husband that question and be like, just ask me this every time. Every time that you want to be helpful and supportive and ask me like what you can do to help, just ask me this one close-ended question.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh my gosh. Why
Right?
is it?
Why is that? No, I know our brains are
laundry.
so weird.
Yeah, but it's
Sometimes
just, like,
we just have to
always
hack
there.
our brains, and that's ultimate brain hack.
Wow.
So now let's shift into your husband has asked this question or some other open-ended question. Some other ones that can really stress us out are, well, what do you want for foreplay? Well, what is going to turn you on? What do you want me to do right now to get you in the mood for sex? Those questions can super stress us out.
That's so true.
Because we're just like, I don't know. And then we just want to give up.
Yeah, and what you're really doing is you're like filing through in your mind like almost every sexual experience you've had together.
Yeah.
To kind of be like, oh, I don't know, like when are the times and what are the things? And it's just like, it's too much. It's just too much information to have to sift through for you to figure those things out. So it is almost like, you're exactly right, like just a closed-ended question. Like, hey, I noticed you seem to like when I blah. XYZ.
Kiss
right?
your neck.
Yeah.
Rub your shoulders.
Anything. Like, is that true? Like, am I reading that correctly? Right? Like, what is there something that's more, I don't know, just like starting with an example though. Right? Even if
it helps so much. It grounds the brain.
It does. It grounds the brain. You're exactly right. And like, even if it ends up being like, okay, well, is there something you like more than that? At least you have a starting place to go off of, right? Yes. Rather than just like this endless amount of files in your brain that you have to sift through. Yeah.
So again, we can ask our husband, like we can recognize that this is an issue and we can ask our husband, hey, can you do these close-ended questions? And we can even come up with the close-ended questions to start with. Or a few examples, come up with 3 or 4 close-ended questions. Like, hey, just cycle through these. That'd be so great, right? Yeah. Again, let's shift into he's asked the open-ended question, how do we not bite his head off? Because that's not helpful, okay? Not helpful for our marital relationship, not helpful for improving intimacy, not helpful for improving our sex life, right?
Not at all.
He's literally trying to help you. He's trying to take some of that mental load off. So let's first really recognize that this is coming from a place of desire to support you, desire to make it easier on you, desire to help you get in the mood for sex and all of these things, right? That is the biggest thing, is it's like, oh, he's really trying to help. And that is so great. He loves me so much. He is trying to help me here, and I can really appreciate that. Now, a couple of things that we can do. One, we can hack our own brain. If we know that these open-ended questions come, we can be like, brain, when my husband asks, what do you want me to do? Or what do you need help with? He's actually asking, and then you come up with the close-ended question, and you just put it in your brain.
Oh.
And you're like, this is the close-ended question that he just asked me, right? So you just do that in your head. So your husband comes to you, hey, hon, what do you want me to help you? Like, can I help you with anything? And in your brain, you're like, oh, he just asked me if he could help with the laundry or the kitchen. Ooh, but you know what? All the leftovers in the fridge really need to be cleaned out. Yeah, you know what, hon? Could you go in the fridge and clean out all the like leftovers that are too old and toss them, right? So we've just done the trick in our brain.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
smart.
kid you not, ladies, it is just the most amazing thing.
I've never
this
done
is
this.
how our brain works.
I've never done this.
Kathleen's like, this is incredible.
We're going to give this a shot. Because you know what my husband tends to do is ask, it's not even like, what can I do to help? It's like, is there anything you need help with? And it's usually right as he's about to go to bed. Like, it's like, I'm getting pretty tired. Is there anything that you need help with before and then it's like, well, no, just go to bed, I guess, right? It's like even worse than an open-ended question.
It's like, I actually only have about 3 minutes. Is there anything I can help you with in
it's
this
just
amount
like,
of time? You're like,
what?
wow.
Not all the time. He doesn't do it all the time, but he does tend to do it frequently enough.
Well, okay. But so what I would offer for you, Kathleen, is
counsel me
right now in a moment. And this is a perfect transition into my next suggestion. You know that he asked that question. You know that situation comes up, you know, every once in a while, fairly regularly. He asks if you need any help with anything, and he's already tired. He doesn't have a lot of time, but he is asking at that moment, which means that he does have some level of desire to support you.
Right.
So right now, outside of that moment of high overwhelm and stress, is come up with a list of things. What are those little tasks that take 5 to 10 minutes or 15 minutes that actually wouldn't be insane to ask him to do right before he's going to bed?
Right. Yeah.
And you don't have to share. I wouldn't suggest that you just like give him this list.
Yeah.
When he asks that question, like, unless your husband likes lists. Like, if your husband's like, hey, just give me a list and I'll get it done, great. Come up with a list, give it to him. Not everybody is like that. And so I would actually just come up with this list yourself and have it written down somewhere. I would just like put it in your phone. And so then when that situation comes up, so for you, Kathleen, you'd be making a list of like these small tasks that take 5 or 10 minutes. In general, right? If you know that your husband asks, what can I help with? What do you want me to do? Come up with a list of things that almost always need to be done. Like in our house, the laundry, I am really good at getting the laundry washed. I think a lot of women are like this.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us struggle with this. I am so good. I can get it in the washer and then I'm like, I don't know, maybe like 60, 70%, I'll get it in the dryer. Sometimes it's really just that the laundry just needs to be switched over into the dryer. Almost always there is a pile of clean laundry that could be sorted, folded, put away, whatever.
Yes.
Right. So on my list, I would put laundry.
Yeah.
Like sorting laundry, folding laundry, putting it away, whatever. We don't really fold laundry in our house. I have to be honest. Like we just put it in drawers.
Honestly, we sometimes
like nothing wrinkles.
I've started doing that with certain kids. We have like
kids' clothes. Yeah, kids' clothes we like just do not fold.
Yeah, like my boys I still have to fold because they have like a standard dresser where things aren't going to fit if they're not like neatly folded. But with our girls, Michael's actually created these like towers that each there's like 4 levels to it and they hold 4 laundry baskets and it's just fantastic. It's like you just throw it in. Throw it in. You have a basket for like all the different things. Just throw it in.
Love it.
Which is a lifesaver. Yeah. But no, that's and I will say that in those moments, I've recognized exactly as we're talking about, right? Where it's like, you know what? He's asking. So even though this is very frustrating because I almost feel guilty giving you something to do because I know you're about to go to bed, you are asking. And so, yes, here is something that is still on my to-do list for tonight that you could take instead. Yeah.
Or even if it's like a bigger task for you, Kathleen, for this situation that you have, which I feel like you are not alone. Like, I think this is really common for husbands to be like, I'm going to bed. Let me just like check in with my wife real quick. And so it's like, we don't want to give him a project that's going to take like an hour.
True.
But what you could do is if there is one of those bigger projects, so for example, laundry, you could literally answer, you know what? Yeah, could you spend 10 minutes just tackling laundry for a little bit? Like, I know you're not going to finish, but could you just like
Pare it down.
sort, pare it down, like, or just put your clothes away or just put my clothes away or, like whatever's in that, in that pile.
Yeah.
And just kind of like cap it so that what we're doing then in that moment when he's kind of asking when there's sort of limited time is we're recognizing that he has limited time and giving him that opportunity of like, hey, could you just spend 10 minutes doing XYZ? It doesn't have to be finished, but it would be amazing if you could just take a crack at it, right? And then you know what'll happen more often than not, ladies? I kid you not, because it's in the male psyche. They wanna provide. You ask them to just get started on a task, just spend 10 minutes, they're going to finish it.
Oh my gosh, that's an interesting point. I see that being very true.
But you've also offered to him that he does not have to finish it, and you don't have any expectation, ladies. No expectation that he's going to finish it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're just like, hey, could you just get started on this? It'd be amazing. Like, that would just be great if you could pare that pile of laundry down, right?
True. Well, and I would love to go back to your point about lists, right?
Yes.
I think that, like, you're exactly right. You don't want to, I think, to hand them a list in a moment that they're asking, they'll either take it the right way or the wrong way with like no in between. Right.
You've gotta know your husband. Like, some husbands are list husbands.
Yes. 100%.
Okay? This is like a weird thing, but my father is a list husband. Yeah. He's like, give me a list. He literally says that. He's like, give me a list.
Yeah.
Give me a list. Yeah. Like, and like, he's totally a list husband.
Yeah.
Which is great.
No.
Like, my mom just gives him lists.
But I think that any husband can be a list husband if it's talked about before the situation, right? If it's talked about in advance, where it's like, hey, I just want to let you know, because you might not be aware, but anytime you sort of ask these open-ended questions, right, it is just like explaining how your brain sort of reacts. Like, it is sort of just frustrating and triggering, and I just like can't think in the moment. How do you feel about, right? So maybe just providing a solution through a question and just like having a conversation about it before really doing it. How do you feel if I come up with a list of the things that could always sort of be done, and I put it somewhere so that when you want to ask the question, you just go to the list. You don't even have to ask, right? That, I think, because really the only thing better than a closed-ended question is not asking the question at all.
I know, right? A husband who just does.
Getting it done.
Wow.
But it's understandable that they need to ask the question, right? Like, men see the world and the house through
very differently than us. We have
differently.
to recognize that
through a completely different lens, right? And you would just love for them to open their eyes and see exactly what you see, but they can't. And it's not their fault. As much as we want to blame them, it's just not their fault, right? So providing the solution through a question that leads to conversation, right? Of like, hey, I was thinking there are these things that always have to get done, almost always, right? Unless I'm like super ahead of the game, which is almost never. And
you're right.
In my case, it's
I think that happened one time 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Here are the things that are always ticking in my brain, right? That like, these are the things I'm always trying to stay on top of. What if I just write them down? And when you kind of feel like, okay, maybe it is like leading into a night of intimacy that you're kind of both expecting, and he wants to kind of help you relax and calm down, don't even ask the question. Here is the list you can reference, and just look around at any of those things. And if all of those things are done, then go ahead and ask a closed loop question, right? But it's almost a guarantee all of those things are not going to be done.
Yeah, right. It's almost a guarantee there's going to be laundry. I'm pretty sure my list can just be one thing.
Yeah, But I think that when you see your husband just jump in and help without having to direct in any way.
Oh man, such a turn on.
100%. Right? It's just
for a lot of ladies. Yeah. I know it's not a turn on for everybody. It's not a accelerator for everybody, but I know I actually recently polled my Instagram audience and was just like, hey, what are the things that your husband does that like basically turn you on, right? And so much of it was like when he just does things without asking, when he does chores, when he gets things done, when he like all of these things. And I was like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about that situation, because I think that these are so great. I think like creating that list and if you have that conversation and your husband is like interested in just having this list, I think that that's awesome. But what is still going to come is the question.
Yeah.
It's still going to come sometimes for a couple of reasons. One, he might forget about the list. It's not his priority. Out of habit, he asks the question, right? Out of a habit to try to help you, he is going to ask the question. So our job is to not bite his head off, okay? That is our job. I'm speaking to myself right now.
I know.
Actually, the reason why we are recording this episode is because Ellen and Kurt had an altercation yesterday about an open-ended question. Yeah. Okay? That's why we're recording this episode. I'm speaking to myself.
Well, and I think in general, just like, why is it important to talk about mental load on a Catholic sexuality podcast, right? Because it has so much to do with a woman's libido. 1,000%. I mean, well, with anyone's libido, right? Like, men have a mental load. It's just very different from a woman's mental load. And I think a lot of the times men sort of cope with their stress and their mental load through intimacy, whereas women need the mental load a little bit more cleared before being able to engage in intimacy, right? It's just like one of those many questions we have to ask God when we get to heaven, like, why such stark differences, sir?
It teaches us about each other. It teaches us to be in community.
Yeah, community and, communication and just like, all of these things. But it's mental load if we're talking about libido or if we're talking about intimacy, like it has to be addressed. And it's one of the hardest things, I think, to figure out because it can bring on such resentment so quickly. You could be so, tell me if you've experienced this, right? Like I have 1,000% many times experienced this, that it's like, okay, all day long, I am looking forward to intimacy at the end of the day. And then one thing, like an open-ended question happens. And then all of a sudden, all of that desire is gone and the resentment has replaced it.
This is really, really important to close out this episode with because absolutely, right? And for us ladies, it's like it would have been better if you didn't ask that question.
Exactly.
It literally would have been better. If you hadn't tried to help. Okay, let's look at that. Why in the world does that make sense? Why would it have been better if our husband hadn't offered to help? That doesn't actually cognitively make sense. And that is why the last 5 minutes of this episode are going to be the most important. What I was saying before, our job is to make sure we are not biting our husband's head off. We have to recognize that his question is coming from a good place. And this is where we have to do the work ahead of time. Right after you listen to this episode, make the list in your head. Make it on your phone because we can talk to our husband all day long. We can offer suggestions. We can offer changes. But let me just ask you all, how many of you have created a chore chart in your house and then it lasted for like a week and then it went away, right?
Kathleen's raising her hand.
We can have all these wonderful ideas for creating these plans to eliminate the friction of our life. And sometimes they work, but a lot of times they don't. And the only person that you actually can change is yourself. And so how we approach this question is the most important part, right? We can create the list. We can talk to our husband about having the list. We can set all that up, right? But ultimately, the most foolproof way to solve this is to manage how you react to the question. Is to, instead of your thought being like, oh my gosh, why can't he just figure it out? Instead of your thought being that, make it, oh, my husband's trying to help. Let me go consult my list that I made in a moment of peace and calm. Let me just go look. What's on that list? Oh, look, laundry's the first thing on that list. You know what? Could you go take 15 minutes to just like tackle the laundry pile in our room?
Yeah.
What a lovely interaction we have now had.
True.
And something is getting done that needs to get done. Our husband, we understand and recognize that our husband loves us and wants to support us and wants to help. Yeah. We feel calmer because something is getting done and we love our husband. And that is the most important thing with these open-ended questions. And we talked about like the chore question, I feel like, or like the what needs to be done around the house question. But this question comes up a lot. And one of the other places that it comes up, which I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, is like, what do you want to do for foreplay? What's going to turn you on, right? And then that can be also very, very stressful. And so again, come up with the list ahead of time.
Yeah.
and then just consult the list.
Yeah.
Right? You know what you could do is you could actually jot it down on paper, maybe in like a code, I don't know, and like stick it in your bedside table. And then you could just like in that moment,
Yeah.
be like, I don't know, let's consult the list. You could have fun with the list. You guys could come up with the list together of things you want to try. And then you could rip them, like put them on pieces of paper and put it in like a hat and just be like, let's just pick something out. Because what that does is it creates a closed loop for you, right? You pick something out of the hat and you don't want to do that. Your brain immediately offers what you want to do instead.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the like, where do you want to go for dinner, right? When you create the closed loop on where do you want to go for dinner? Hey, do you want to go to Solitaire for dinner?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I do. Or no, I don't. I want to go to Chick-fil-A.
Right.
That's just these are the first restaurants. By the way, if anyone's ever in Fremont, California, Solitaire's the best. Okay, that's all. We can trick our brain into these closed loops. We can do all this, but the big work is our mindset, is changing the thoughts around how that question is coming to us. And this is what I am teaching in Want It and Enjoy It constantly is, okay, here's a whole bunch of stuff that you can talk to your husband about and we can try to change. And it's going to improve your sex life if we can change these things.
Yeah.
But also, we can't change our husband. So I am a huge proponent of communicating, of talking, of deciding things together, of working on things. But also, we have to recognize that we cannot change him.
Yeah.
We can inspire change. We can ask for change, all those things. But the only human being that we can actually change is ourselves. And so if we want to improve our marriage, our sex life, our entire life, if we can change the way that we are reacting, if we can change the thoughts that we're having, if we can recognize these places that we're actually hurting ourselves, right? It hurt me that I bit my husband's head off when he asked,
that's true.
What can I do to help? It hurt me because I then had to do a whole lot of mental work to get myself back interested in having sex with him because I was so frustrated, right? I could have avoided that. I could have avoided that by changing my thoughts about it. And yes, it also could have been avoided if he had asked a different question.
But you can't control him.
I can't control him.
Yeah.
I cannot control the questions he asks. I can control the way I react. And if I can control the way that I react, I'm going to have a way better life. I'm going to have a way better sex life.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a way better marriage.
Amen.
Hey, if you're a Catholic wife who wants to increase your desire for sex and actually experience pleasure in the act, I want to invite you to join the next round of Want It and Enjoy It, where you're going to learn how to cultivate desire, learn the skill of orgasm, and learn how to think differently about sex so that you can look forward to sex and actually enjoy it. Just head to reclaimingcatholicintimacy.com/want and enjoy or click the link in the show notes.